there are 9 gifts of the Holy Spirit. There's
And
no
the-
such thing as the gift of casting out demons, because casting out demons is a gift of the Holy Spirit mixed together to produce it. There are 3 kinds of hearing the voice of God. First, the voice of God that happens instantly, meaning let there be light and there is light. Second, the voice of God that happens in the future, such as you exiles will be gathered back into Jerusalem. There is a God's voice of prophecy, but not instantly. It is in the future. Third, the voice of God that will never happen in parables. It's like Jacob telling to his son Benjamin, "You are like a ravenous wolf. In the evening, you will divide the plunder." Full stop. That was the God's voice for his son Benjamin. It's a parable. Jesus Christ, when he ministered to the 5,000 people, he did not call out each one of them one by one. If not, even right now, after 2,000 years, he will still be calling at a 4,000 person. But a different kind of ministry, which has equal results for those who have just faith as small as a mustard seed. As small as the mustard seed of faith, meaning even if my pastor, my pastor, man of God, Prophet John, did not talk to me, my faith as small as a mustard seed, I still can receive what I needed. There were 14 generations from Abraham to David, and there were 14 generations from David to the exile, and there were 14 generations from the exile to Jesus. This is as recorded in the Gospel of Matthew. Let me continue, I said in the WhatsApp message. I said there were 14 generations from the coming of Jesus to the building up of the church. And there were 14 generations from the building up of the church to the destruction of the church. And there were another 14 generations from the destruction of the church to the second coming of Jesus. So we are very close. We are very close to the second coming of Jesus. The Bible is written by people who do the works of God. So to understand the Bible, you cannot just read the Bible, but also do the works of God to understand what is written. Because it is written by somebody who did the works of God. The meaning in the Bible will always be hidden to those who did not do the works of God, but only read it, and then go back to their worldly job. Remember the book of Haggai. It says, the glory of the current temple will be greater than the previous temple. But the temple that Haggai built, it was lousier than the temple that Solomon built. Solomon's temple was built of gold, big, cherubim carved, and all the other decorations. But Haggai's temple, or rather Zerubbabel's temple, glory was greater than Solomon's temple, even though it was lesser in terms of physical looks and boundaries. So how God judged the quality of a church is not the physical boundaries or the physical decorations or the size of the church.